That's the site that has my name? I asked to be sure. Francis nodded. A few seconds passed as the site loaded, before a black video player popped up in the center of the... It didn't have a timer or anything else till as the title of the site popped up. Numbers and letters, ending in .onion, to mark the fact that it was a dark web page. At first, I didn't even connect the dots. I had long since forgotten the fact that all my personal details had been leaked, and of text in the middle. It was just a string of random numbers and letters, ending in .onion, to mark the fact that it was a dark web page. At first, I didn't even connect the dots. I had long since forgotten the fact that all my personal details had been leaked. Instead of just throwing it away as I should have, I decided to contact Francis. He was more intrigued than worried, showing up about 15 minutes later to help me connect to the website. He only needed about a second to dig up the Tor browser and input the onion link I received. Shit, he mumbled as the title of the site popped up. It was Alicia. That's the site that has my name? I asked to be sure. Francis nodded. A few seconds passed as the site loaded, before a black video player popped up in the center of the screen. It didn't have a timer or anything else to let us know the duration of the video. Instead, it just had a play button. Francis clicked it. And though it was too dark to see what was going on, I could hear something in the background. Turn up the volume, I said. Francis did as commanded, and we were greeted with the muffled sounds of someone struggling. It was quiet, just loud enough to make out what was going on without understanding the hidden context. Then it got brighter, just enough to make out the walls and ceiling of a small room. In the center lay a man tied to a bed with chains, his face obscured by a bag pulled over his head. What the hell is this? I asked. It's a red room. Turn that shit off. Francis was reluctant to oblige, whether it be due to curiosity or shock. Before I could reach out and turn it off myself, a man entered the picture. He was naked, with his bare chest covered in old scars and fresh blood. He pulled the mask off of the tied-up man, and I let out a loud gasp. What is it? Francis said. I pointed a trembling finger towards the screen. That's Mr. Dawson, my boss. You're sure? I nodded. Is this a live stream or something? No, I don't think so. As far as I know, you can't live stream on the dark web. It has to be a recording. I wanted so desperately just to turn it off and call the police, but we were both frozen in our seats. The naked man pulled out a knife from a bag on the ground and started peeling off pieces of skin from Dawson's leg. He tried to scream in agony, but he was gagged, left unable to move or even call for help. Little by little, the man cut off pieces of flesh from Dawson, moving his way from the legs to the torso. Can't say exactly how long the video went on for. It skipped minutes at the time, showing Dawson at progressively more mutilated stages of the torture. It wasn't until his skin had been almost completely removed before he lost consciousness. I threw up. Finally, snapping back to reality as the screen turned black, Francis sat speechless in his chair. What could we do? Dawson had to have been dead by the time we even opened the link. Naturally, I called the police and gave them all the information about the website that I had. But by the time the police got around to checking it out, the video was gone. Once it had been viewed, it was simply removed. They believed us, though, saying that they'd forward the information to the appropriate sources, which turned out to be the FBI. There was little more I could do, without solid evidence that my boss had actually died. He was just reported missing while the investigation went on. I was questioned by various officers and an FBI agent a couple of times, but that was about it. A year passed, and my life went on. My place of work just hired a new manager, and Dawson's disappearance remained an unsolved mystery. I fully believed that would be the end of it. I thought the horrors I'd witnessed would be a one-time occurrence, that I would be fine. During that time, I also drifted away from Francis. We weren't even able to look at each other in the eyes anymore, not after what we'd seen together. Then, everything changed, as I got another letter in the mail. It was unmarked, without an address, just like before. That time, however, I didn't hesitate to call the police. I already knew what would be inside, and I wasn't about to ruin another piece of evidence. The police redirected me to the responsible FBI agent who was working the case. He was quick to act, coming to pick me up within the hour alongside 3 armed agents. "Mr. Larkin, I'm Agent Vance. We need you to come with us," he said before they rushed me inside the car as if my life depended on it. They took me to an office building in the middle of the city and made me wait in an interrogation room while they checked out the evidence. I sat there with a cup of water, 100 thoughts running through my mind. An hour passed before Agent Vance came to check up on me. He looked upset, but had put on a brave face to talk to me. "We checked out the link in your envelope. Found a video like the one you described last time. We've taken some still shots of the footage. I'd like it if you could help identify the victim." I shuddered at the thought, but agreed to help. Vance guided me into a room full of computers. A group of office workers sat in front of one, staring at a picture, trying to figure out who the person was. They didn't need to analyze it any further, because I knew exactly who it was. Francis. He looked absolutely horrified. The still picture showing him clearly alive. For how long that would last, I didn't know. "Is he?" I began to ask. "He didn't survive, I'm sorry," Vance interjected, knowing what I wanted to ask. How did he die?" "It's better you don't know the details, but we're going to catch this guy, I promise you that much." Again, we went over each and every detail. They promised over and over they'd do everything in their power to chase down the people doing it, and to keep me safe. But as weeks turned into months, no culprit was caught. Eventually, I stopped working. Instead, I just hid at home, afraid that anyone remotely close to me might be next. I didn't have much in terms of family. No siblings. My parents had long since died. I suppose that made me an easy target for the runners of the Red Room. Despite the FBI's best efforts, the letters kept coming with random intervals. My ex-girlfriend was the next victim. Though we'd broken up a few years earlier, we'd remained friendly. Again, I got the link to a video of her brutal murder. I just forwarded it to the FBI, unable to stomach another horror show. Then they took one of my old co-workers. One by one, they killed the people I knew and loved, and I could do nothing to stop it. I couldn't even contact the culprits and ask what the hell they wanted from me. But then it hit me. I was being tortured. And while it wasn't physical like the others, it was still mental torture. Like the horrors they'd committed to my friends. The pain wouldn't end until I was dead. Maybe that's what they so desperately wanted, for me to kill myself. Maybe it was some sort of sick game to see how long I could last. I sat down in front of my computer, ready to give up. If there was even the slightest chance that it would save lives, I had to do it. I looked up the best ways to do it, but in the end, I decided to go for the gun. I picked it up, pressed it against my temple. I felt like hours passed. I just couldn't bring myself to pull the trigger, without letting every possible scenario run through my mind.
Steve and Dave use eToro to trade cryptocurrencies. Steve does extensive research.
Then the phone rang. I almost dropped the gun in shock. I glanced at my phone to see a call incoming from an unknown number. Hello? I asked as I picked it up. Not like that, a twisted robotic voice said from the other side. Not like what? Who are you? You need to record it properly, the voice continued. Whoever they were using some kind of voice-changing software to make them unrecognizable. How did you... I began before noticing the camera on my computer. Of course they'd been watching. I didn't even need to ask. I just stared at the camera, and the mysterious person on the other end confirmed. That's right. We've been watching you. I felt my heart drop. So all I have to do is kill myself and the suffering ends? Yes. Face the camera when you do it. You have 15 minutes, or the next person will be taken. I didn't have any other options. I can't let anyone else die because of me. Just pray that once I'm gone, it'll finally stop.
Thanks for watching. You can watch a similar video here. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay tuned.
Talk to nicely.
I stared at my bright computer screen. My eyes felt heavy, and my fingers trembled nervously with each key press. We'd already been awake for more than 5 days, during which time 28 players had died. I don't want to die, Lewis typed into the chat. I'm not so sure you will. There's only the two of us left. I can't keep this up much longer. The game had seemed so simple. A competition to see who could stay awake the longest, and the winner would receive enough money to last a lifetime. For someone like myself, without a social life nor a job to attend, it was the perfect opportunity. 30 players had received an invitation, all active participants of an international dark web forum. We were just required to fill in some necessary information, including a Bitcoin wallet to where the money would be sent. After clicking submit, I was given a time and a list of simple rules to follow. Number 1, both your web camera and microphone must be activated for the entire duration of the competition. Number 2, there won't be any bathroom breaks. Plan accordingly. Number 3, you're not allowed to seek out the physical location of the other contestants. Number 4, there can only be one winner. As I eagerly awaited for the first bit of excitement I'd seen in months, I stocked up on the necessary supplies, mostly energy drinks, snacks, and a bucket. Once the time of the competition started, I clicked the provided link. I was faced with a blank screen consisting of 30 names and a chat box. I could gain access to each of the competitors' camera feeds by clicking on their username, but the chat itself was global.